So Moses Itauma, Jermaine Franklin. Of course, the question is, who do I think is going to win? You never know what's going to happen come fight night. Most of the time, I mean, shit can happen. Let's say it that way. Without anything happening, like Moses just being off of some crazy shit, like as far as this coming down to being like, straight up, let me just say, without any funny business. I don't mean cheating or anything like that. I just mean both fighters at their best. Let's say it that way. Both fighters, no excuses, no nothing. Everybody's ready. Both of them ready. I think Moses should destroy Jermaine Franklin. Like, I think he should really beat him down. I hear Jermaine saying they think they have a game plan for me because of old tapes, but I can switch up. I can show you different things. One thing that I have never seen Jermaine Franklin do in an actual fight. I don't know about what he does in training and sparring and all that, but I've never seen him in a fight be able to switch up and like really control the fight, just completely dominate, take over. I've never seen him do that. I've seen him go back and forth and go toe to toe with Dillian White, and I've seen him get outclassed, outboxed by Anthony Joshua. Any other fight I've seen Moses have, I mean, you look at who's who on his resume. Again, I've never seen him, and let me say it like this: I've never seen him do that against a quality opponent. One fight I saw him have, and this was just against a guy who basically was, wasn't anything special about the guy. Wasn't even a top contender, and basically Jermaine Franklin struggled with this guy. He struggles with stamina. I think in his mind, he knows what he wants to do. Maybe in sparring, he's able to do these things, but I have never seen Jermaine Franklin, like I said, just dominate. Just go in there and obliviate a guy. And for any fighter he has done that to, anything prior to Anthony Joshua and Dillian White, I'm not even talking about that. Because those fights I haven't even seen. I didn't even know who Jermaine Franklin was when he fought Dillian White. I hadn't even heard of him. So when that's when I went and did my homework on him. And the fights that I saw of him, it wasn't that much posted about him. And what I did see, come on, man. We look, Jermaine Franklin, I feel like he comes to fight. I feel like he has heart to go in there and want to fight. But a high boxing IQ, I don't see. I see a guy that comes to, like all you got to do is punch Jermaine Franklin. He wants to pay you back. So he's going to, so he doesn't go to the spark box. He goes to the get back at you box. That's what I've seen in Jermaine Franklin every time I've seen him fight. So I think that Moses should break him down and knock him out, in all honesty. If either he gets knocked out clean, cold, or the referee stops it, this fight shouldn't go the distance. And the only way Jermaine Franklin, that should happen is if Jermaine Franklin truly has something up his sleeve that we never saw. And when, one thing I know about fighters, they say a whole lot of things. They talk about the experience and they say a whole lot of shit, but they one of the things for sure, your natural instincts kick in. You call it muscle memory or whatever you want to call it. It kicks in and you do what you know how to do. I don't care what you do in the gym. If I haven't seen you do it in the ring, in an actual fight, that means you haven't done it. And that means you haven't done it because it's not there for you to do. You don't feel as comfortable against your opponent as you did against your sparring partner. And there's different methods to training, sparring and all of that. So, he's going to say what he's going to say. He's trying to sell the fight. And he's, maybe he feels confident in what he say. Come fight night, then we'll all see if we decide to watch, or whoever decides to watch. But yeah, I think Moses really should break him down and knock him out. Now, not to take anything away from Jermaine Franklin, but being honest with you, if he was to beat Moses, Moses is a farce. There's no, Jermaine doesn't have anything that Moses should have problems with. His power, his speed, nothing. His head movement, his body attack, his jab, the range, controlling distance, he is nothing. There is nothing, not even his experience. The same way he obliterated Dillian White, and I'm not saying it just because Jermaine struggled with Dillian. I'm saying if you look at that fight, okay, Jermaine Franklin isn't a better fighter now than he was when he fought Dillian that night. And so my thing with that is Jermaine is there to be hit. He's right in front of you. I think, for one, I don't see Jermaine having the discipline to not go to war when he doesn't need to. I feel like, like I said, Moses should break him down and get him out of there. If Moses struggles in this fight, if Moses has a hard time beating Jermaine Franklin, we know Dillian White's washed up, for one. But if he has a hard time beating him, and that really just shows that Moses isn't who we thought he was, or basically, as you step up in competition, that's where we really get to see what you're made of. So going the distance, it's not. Understand something. Jermaine Franklin is a contender. Jermaine Franklin is a guy that people use to test the waters with. Okay, he's been in there with AJ. He's been in there with Dillian. Okay, let's see. Let's see what you look like against him. And those are always the performances that they're going to compare the next guy that fights him to all the time. That's just the way that goes. Any weight class, when you have a guy that's always like the measuring stick of let's see what you can do against that guy. That's what they go by. And I just feel like Jermaine Franklin has been in too many tough fights to change anything about himself. I mean, let's look at, for example, right? If you look at the 3 fights with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, which fight do people say is the least exciting overall? The last one. Both women admitted they didn't want to go through that abuse again that they did in the first 2, right? So both of them went in the 3rd fight and fought very cautiously, tried to get in, get out, tried to hit, not get hit. The very thing that people said made the opposite of what they said made their first 2 fights exciting. But at the end of the day, all 3 fights, Katie won. Okay, so what I'm saying, and that is, the strategy was just simply to hold back. Let's not, we're not going to go in there and just stay there and bang for no reason. And I said, women fighting, when you see most women fights, that's what that shit look like. Most women fights, they get in there, even if they're moving their head, doing all this and slipping in there, some of their hands, they just, and most women don't snap their shots, they push their punches like sideways. So, but just saying, that's all they did was just not hold, they just held back. That was it. There was nothing about their strategy that was, this is a master class of boxing. We're seeing a different skill set. No, they just held back. That was it. I'm just going to try to hit you and try not to get hit back in return. And, I mean, think about it. What is Jermaine Franklin going to do that's going to be so genius that Moses Itauma is not going to be able to adjust to? I mean, at the end of the day, at some point you run into that one fighter at that one time in your career where, it's going to show what that other fighter is made of. And it's going to show what you're made of. So, at some point, you stop being the measuring stick. You just become a name because you have he does have respect on his name. People do respect him as a fighter. But in terms of how Jermaine Franklin is going to be able to adjust and fight a different style and show Moses Itauma something he's never seen, he's not used to, and all of that, I just don't see it. I mean, I just like his talk. I mean, you know who else was a good talker? It was Dominic Brazil. Dominic Brazil could tell you everything wrong with his opponent and what he has to do to stop it, and you go, damn, I agree. And the problem was what? He saw it, he knew it, but he couldn't do it. And Jermaine Franklin's no different, man. I mean, but if he was to pull off the upset, well, okay, cool, you know. But I think Moses should really break him down, like knock him out. And the way boxing is right now, nothing shocks me anyway. But yeah, when you look at a guy like Jermaine Franklin, that's the level that he's on, man. A guy like a Dominic Brazil, a Charles Martin, he has more heart than Charles Martin. You know, he has more savvy than Dominic Brazil. You know, he's you know, but you know, there's things in Jermaine Franklin's game. You see him get frustrated often in his fights, and you know, so when you struggle with guys that's not even on Moses Itauma's level, I've seen him have a couple struggle fights. This is my point. They're just ordinary fighters. So, you know, he can say all of those things, and it may sound good, make you, you know, want to believe it, so you think the fight's going to be good, but this should be a one-sided ass kicking. Like he's going to try to throw his shots and land his shots. Yeah, he's going to try to, you know, weather whatever storm. He might try to come out fast. Who knows? But Moses should rock his shit and call it night-night. This fight shouldn't even be a long fight, but hey, we'll see what happens come fight night. Anyway, you know, Moses got the power. He got the hand speed. He has the reach. He has the size. And I just think that, you know, him just being more vicious, naturally just more vicious. I think Jermaine Franklin, like, he's like a nice guy that makes himself become mean in the ring, to the point of like, you know, like where he kind of, you know, it's like he goes from being a respectful guy in the press conference and he tries to like become a tough guy in the ring, like a, you know, getting up and like, you know, you seen if you've seen him lose his temper in the ring and try to intimidate, you understand what I'm saying. Whereas I feel like with Moses, it's just more like he's just gonna come to brutalize you, regardless to how nice you are to him in the press conference or how cordial or, you know, laid back he might be. Like I feel like he's just coming to really hurt you. Jermaine would like to try to outbox you. Jermaine tries to hurt you. He tries to, you know, get you out of here. And in fact, I respect Jermaine Franklin as a fighter. He's not the best fighter, but I respect him as a fighter because he does come to fight. But overall, Jermaine Franklin, like I said, stamina issues. He goes for the home run too much. He doesn't stick to a game plan. He goes all, he gets away from what he should be doing to try to get you out of here, and it's easy to get him off his game plan. It's easy to frustrate Jermaine Franklin. And like I said, I don't care what you're doing sparring and training. Once you get in the actual fight, and we haven't seen you ever do these things that you claim that you have. I mean, come on, man. We've heard this so many times from so many fighters, and at some point, you know, you've been around long enough to know, like, yeah, well, it all sounds good, but as far as I'm concerned, this is to be another stepping stone for Moses Itauma. And yeah, this is actually a step-up fight for him in a way, because it lets you see where he is. Now, a Martin Bacoli, a Joseph Parker, guys like that, you know, by the time, you know, let's see how many fights it is before he starts to fight guys like that. You know, Tyson wasn't waiting for people to get old. Muhammad Ali wasn't waiting for people to get old. Larry Holmes, these guys wasn't waiting for people to get old. And, you know, I'm not saying that that's what Moses is doing, but in this generation, we see way too much of this whole, everybody want to hold back and not fight this guy and that guy just yet. And like, you know, it's not about getting old, it's about you being ready. You know, but with Moses, what I look at with him, that's what he should be ready to do. Like, there's nobody in the heavyweight division that he shouldn't be ready for right now. The division is not stacked. People can talk all that shit they want. I know that, Jermaine talked about sparring with Fabio Wardley and all that. Great, and that's cool. But again, Moses should beat the shit out of Jermaine Franklin. Like really, it should look like child abuse. It should be one of those type of fights where no matter how it starts, even if Jermaine is being competitive early, one of the things about Jermaine Franklin is he's not a big puncher, and I think for me, looking at Jermaine Franklin, I feel like if Jermaine could muster up some lateral movement, and he's the shorter fighter with the shorter reach, he's gonna have to get on the inside. But if he can muster up some lateral movement and attack the body successfully, and that's because anybody can come up with a great game plan. But if he can do that, and if he can throw Moses off to get Moses to the point where Moses is doing too much, where his punches being telegraphed, because a lot of sounding fighters go into that, I'm gonna knock you out mode. They try to throw your thing so hard that you can see it coming. I feel like maybe, if he's successful with doing that and baiting him in, I don't see him, for one, beating Moses from the outside. I really don't see anything he can do. He doesn't hit hard enough. He doesn't. I mean, think about how many shots he landed on Dylan, and Dylan didn't go down. And Dylan, we know Dylan got a weak chin. You know that uppercut. He couldn't land a punch that everybody else knocked Dylan out with. And even in that, is what I'm saying. It's like, it's not like Dylan was there to be hit. Dylan was there so many times. Dylan overcommitted to punches, and Jermaine didn't take him out with that uppercut. He didn't make him pay. I really just see Moses beating the shit out of him, really. That's what I see. But we'll see what happens. And like I said, if he can frustrate him, and for him to do it, it's gonna take patience, and him to be on point all night. He's gonna have to be really defensive minded and countering to the point where he's so sharp, his timing is there and everything. And the thing is, when have we ever seen him do that? This is me saying what he would have to do to get that win. But when have we seen him fight like that? He gets off game plan too easy, like I said, very easy. And the frustration, he can't even hide it. When it happens, you see it all over his face. But it is what it is. Moses by knockout or TKO. That's what should happen. I don't think it's a good look if Moses goes 12 rounds with this guy. And that's because, bottom line, Jermaine Franklin is not a top level fighter. He's a guy that reached a certain height and he peaked there and he didn't get better from there. And the division is not stacked like that. It's really not. And looking at Moses, I think for Moses, the best thing that can happen for his career is he start taking heads now. Like I'm saying, people talked about him versus Usyk and saying he wasn't ready, and Usyk's experience. I'm like, man, listen here. I hear all of that, but fuck all that shit. This dude needs to start taking names. And like I said, the division is not that stacked. So if Moses is what people say he is, he should destroy what's left in that heavyweight division. That's just factual, man. Look at who's there. He should be able to knock all these dudes out. And if he goes in there and destroys Jermaine like he's supposed to, okay, well, the performances of Anthony Joshua against Jermaine is going to be looked at. Dillian White's performance is going to be looked at. So if he goes in there and do a more impressive job than them, I mean, what is he waiting for? I don't think Jared Anderson will fight him. He doesn't need to waste his time with somebody like Jarrell Miller. Knocking his wig off his head would probably be funny to look at, but I mean, he doesn't need to waste his time with people like that. You already fought a Dillian White, and yeah, Dylan is washed up, but here's what I'm saying. You already fought him and beat him. So if Deontay Wilder, who's not going to fight him, sticking around and all these, but I'm trying to get Joseph Parker. I'm trying to get, Zhang Zhang. You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to get these guys because I want to make it. I'm trying to get Urkovich. I want to make a statement. And let's be real. The fact that Alexander Usyk got rid of his belt so he didn't have to fight Fabio. what you think is going to happen? You think Usyk is really going to want to fight? This is about to fight a kickboxer. You think Usyk is going to want to fight Moses Itauma? So therefore, when Usyk decided to give up those belts, because he's not going to want to fight, he's not going to want to fight Moses Itauma. And what's going to happen is real simple. Or what can happen is real simple. Moses put his bid in by destroying these guys that's out there and look impressive doing it. The fans will want to see him as champion. Now, of course, there's always fans that don't want to see certain fighters do, get to a certain level. But yeah, it'll be a big thing for him to get those titles. And I'm not concerned with Tyson Fury coming back. I'm not even worried about AJ or none of them. Like they're at, those guys are like getting up to where like, those guys are not even the same anymore. So, the best thing that can happen for Moses is that he just destroys everybody, the way Tyson was doing, and pretty much just reign over the division. And then whatever challenges come along, hey, Daniel Dubois, this guy, him and Fabio, like this is what I'm saying. It's like I would have a problem with somebody eating my food for me. So whatever he decides to do, I don't know. That's up to him. That's up to them. Again, this boxing game has changed so much, and people don't really want to fight each other and all that goofy shit. So it is what it is. But once again, in closing, Moses Itauma by brutality. That's all I got for you guys. Catch you on the next video.